She was vibrant, kind, trusting. The kind of girl everyone said had a light. But in the end, it was that very light that drew in the darkness. And when the truth finally came out, it wasn't a stranger who took her life. It was the person she trusted most. In the quiet town of Halewood, Massachusetts, population just under 9,000, everyone knew everyone. It was the kind of place where doors stayed unlocked and secrets stayed buried, until they didn't. Amelia Carter and Jodie Wynn had been inseparable since the 8th grade. Theirs was the kind of friendship that looked like something out of a movie. Matching bracelets, secret codes, late-night phone calls filled with whispered dreams about the future. Amelia was 26 when she disappeared. Blonde, cheerful, and beloved in her small community, she worked as a veterinary technician and lived in a modest apartment above the town bakery. Friends described her as pure sunshine. But on the night of October 11, 2022, that sunshine vanished without a trace. She had plans to meet Jodie for dinner, something they'd done every Wednesday since college. But she never showed up. Jodie was the first to raise the alarm. At first, everyone assumed Amelia had just gone for a drive, needed a break. But when her phone went straight to voicemail, when her car was still parked in front of her apartment the next morning, worry turned into panic. Her parents drove 2 hours from Providence and filed a missing persons report before noon. Police searched Amelia's apartment. Her handbag was still on the counter. Her phone charger was plugged in by her bed. A half-finished cup of tea sat cold on the kitchen table. But there were no signs of a struggle. No forced entry. No fingerprints except Amelia's and Jodie's. When detectives questioned Jodie, she seemed devastated, shaky, distraught. She wept through her entire statement. "I don't understand," she whispered. "She never would have left without telling me." It was a statement that would come back to haunt her. Days turned into weeks. The search grew frantic. Flyers were posted in every shop window. Candlelight vigils burned every Friday. The entire town seemed to hold its breath. Then came the inconsistencies. Phone records showed Amelia had received a call at 7:43 p.m. on the night she vanished. From Jodie. But in her statement, Jodie said they hadn't spoken since 5:30 p.m. When confronted with the record, she changed her story. "Oh, I forgot. I did call her. Just to check if she was still coming. But she didn't pick up." A small lie maybe. But then came another. A neighbor reported seeing a woman matching Amelia's description getting into a dark gray SUV around 8 p.m. Jodie drove a dark gray SUV. And when investigators pulled traffic camera footage from a street near Amelia's apartment, footage that had initially been missed due to a technical delay, there it was. 8:04 p.m. Amelia getting into Jodie's SUV. Amelia never came back. On November 5th, hikers found a shallow grave 14 miles outside Halewood, near an abandoned orchard. Inside was the decomposed body of a woman wrapped in a floral bedsheet. Dental records confirmed it was Amelia Carter. She had blunt force trauma to the back of the skull and signs of strangulation. Her fingernails were broken, evidence she had fought. The sheet? Identified by Amelia's mother as one from her daughter's apartment. The police returned to Amelia's home. They missed it the first time, but this time luminol revealed what the naked eye couldn't. Blood. In the carpet. In the floorboards. Under the couch. Someone had tried to clean it, but not well enough. And someone had access. Police brought Jodie in for a second round of questioning. This time she didn't cry. She was calm. Cold. Distant. They asked where she was the night of October 11th. She repeated her earlier story. She waited for Amelia, but Amelia never showed up. Then they showed her the footage of Amelia getting into her SUV. She stared at the screen. Said nothing. Finally, detectives dropped the final blow. GPS data from Jodie's vehicle showed her parked for 2 hours, right by the orchard where Amelia was found. The mask cracked. She asked for a lawyer. When Jodie was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, the town was stunned. People refused to believe it. But then the truth began to unravel. Detectives discovered a string of emails, deleted, but recovered from Amelia's laptop. Amelia had been planning to move. She had been offered a job in New York. A veterinary surgical program she'd dreamed about for years. But there was more. She had grown distant from Jodie. Text to another friend painted a different picture than the public one. "She's not the same anymore. Jealous. Possessive. Keeps showing up at my apartment uninvited. I think I need space. And then, the final message. If I disappear, please tell someone to look at her first. That message was sent 4 days before her death. As Jodie awaited trial, an anonymous tip came in. It was a voicemail left at the Halewood police tip line. A woman's voice. Nervous. Whispering. Check the riverbank near Breyer's Mill. She did it before. 10 years ago. Look for Megan. Detectives were stunned. There had been another missing person case from Halewood. In 2012, 17-year-old Megan Lowell vanished after prom night. Never found. Foul play suspected, but no leads. Jodie had been 19 at the time. She had volunteered as a youth mentor at Megan's school. Police never connected the two. Until now. Cadaver dogs were sent to the riverbank. And they hit on something. Bones. Human remains. Buried in the shallow clay just yards from the tip's coordinates. The dental match came back a week later. It was Megan Lowell. And just like Amelia, she'd been struck on the head. Strangled. Only this time, there was no connection. No friendship. No motive. Just a pattern. Is it possible that Amelia wasn't Jodie's only victim? Was the murder of her best friend a twisted escalation of something far more sinister? And if so, how many more names are buried in the quiet soil of Halewood? In the stillness of early morning, beneath leaves that had turned brittle with October frost, the earth gave up its secrets. But what the police discovered next would change everything. The second body was no accident. Buried in a crude grave beside Breyer's Mill, the remains of 19-year-old Megan Lowell, missing since 2012, were discovered exactly as the anonymous tip said they would be. She had been beaten, strangled, left to rot in silence just like Amelia. And yet, unlike Amelia Carter, Megan had no discernible link to her alleged killer, Jodie Wynn. That was the beginning of the unraveling. Detectives now had 2 bodies. 2 deaths 10 years apart. Both young. Both female. Both brutally discarded. Jodie, already charged with Amelia's murder, now became the prime suspect in Megan's cold case. The public reaction was immediate and furious. Halewood, once known for its quiet nights and tree-lined streets, became the epicenter of a media storm. Cut to news footage flashing headlines. Killer mentor? How many victims? Friend or predator? Yet behind the headlines, real families suffered. Amelia Carter's mother, Diane, hadn't left her daughter's room since the arrest. The same room Jodie had slept in during high school sleepovers. The same room where the 2 girls had giggled, made friendship bracelets, dreamed about weddings, babies, forever. Diane Carter, sobbing. She loved her. God help me, she loved her. And I think Jodie loved her too, in her own sick way. Meanwhile, Megan Lowell's parents were forced to reopen old wounds they had spent a decade trying to bury. Frank Lowell, Megan's father, gravelly. When she went missing, we died too. But to find her like that, to learn it wasn't a random act, it was planned. That's something no father should have to live through. But what haunted investigators the most was not what they had discovered. It was what they hadn't. Born in 1993, Jodie Wynn grew up just 5 streets away from Amelia. By all accounts, her childhood was ordinary. Good grades, choir practice, an absent father, but a devoted single mother who worked nights as a nurse. But something was off. Former classmates described her as nice, but distant, observant, like she was always memorizing everyone's lives, but revealing nothing about her own. Her high school guidance counselor, interviewed privately, recalled something chilling. She asked me once if people noticed when someone slowly disappeared from a friendship. I told her no, not really. She just smiled. Dr. Mayfield, calmly. Jodie exhibits traits consistent with high-functioning sociopathy. Deeply intelligent, emotionally manipulative, and crucially, motivated not by thrill, but by attachment and abandonment trauma. If Amelia truly was planning to leave, professionally, emotionally, geographically, then in Jodie's mind, that wasn't a betrayal, it was annihilation. In the weeks following the murder, detectives discovered an old USB drive in Jodie's bedroom, hidden in a hollowed-out copy of Wuthering Heights. It contained dozens of audio recordings, some of therapy sessions Jodie had secretly recorded, but others were far more disturbing. Conversations with Amelia, private voice memos, dreams, fantasies, rehearsals. One file, dated 3 weeks before Amelia's death, was titled simply, October plan. Jodie's voice, quiet, rehearsing to herself. She'll come inside. She'll say she's sorry. I'll tell her it's okay. Then the tea. Then the blow. One and done. It won't be messy. She'll still look beautiful. Amelia never knew she was rehearsing her own murder. But then, something didn't sit right. Detective Miles Carr, who had worked Amelia's case from day one, felt the timing was off. The precision. The escalation. This wasn't Jodie losing control, he told press quietly. This was her finishing something. When investigators re-examined Jodie's online activity, they discovered a chilling pattern. Every October for the past 10 years she had Googled the same phrase. How long before a missing person becomes a cold case? And in her digital calendar, every year on October 11th, the note. Remember her. They had been looking at it all wrong. Amelia's murder wasn't an isolated breakdown. It was an anniversary. It was the smallest detail that cracked it open. A yearbook, found in a box beneath Jodie's childhood bed. In the 2011 section, a circled name. Riley Donahue, age 18. Vanished while walking home from a youth music recital in 2011. Her case, like Megan's, had gone cold. No leads. No suspects. She had attended the same summer camp Jodie volunteered at that year. It took weeks, but cadaver dogs uncovered human remains buried in a dried-out pond bed just 20 miles from Halewood. It was Riley. Same cause of death. Same pattern. Jodie Wynn wasn't a one-time killer. She was a serial predator, hiding in plain sight. A friend, a mentor, a confidant, then executioner. The courtroom was packed for every day of Jodie Wynn's trial. 3 charges of first-degree murder. 3 grieving families. Hundreds of lives shattered by a woman no one truly knew. Jodie never testified. She sat silent, expressionless, hands folded on the table. But there was something about her silence that screamed the loudest. She wore the mask of friendship, the cloak of sisterhood, and behind it, she hid rot, rage, control. She didn't kill in a fit of passion. She planned, she practiced, and she perfected it. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty. On all counts. She was sentenced to life without parole. But even in prison, Jodie was not done. A month after sentencing, Amelia's parents received a letter. Handwritten. Unapologetic. Unsettling. I loved her. More than you ever could. And I kept her, because no one else deserved her. She left me first. I just finished it. Letters were later found sent to Megan's and Riley's families too. Each laced with cryptic language, obsessive tone, and one final line that investigators never solved. 3 was the pattern. 3 was the bond. But the first one, she knew. The first one. A 4th? The town of Halewood may never truly recover. Not from the lies. Not from the betrayal. Not from the realization that the girl they all called Sweet Jodie had left behind a trail of broken lives and hollow graves. Justice in its way had been served. But closure? That's another matter. Some people wear masks so well, they forget they ever put them on. Sometimes evil doesn't look like a monster, it looks like a friend smiling from across the table. And sometimes, the darkest places aren't hidden in forests or alleys or graveyards. They're hidden in the quiet spaces between love and obsession. And when the truth finally comes out, not every answer brings peace. Because some truths were never meant to be unearthed.